take a human being and you isolate them and you cut off that person from other people. If you deprive them of their social, they cease to be a human being. Humans become human through human contact.
Products of customary quality. The traditional industry has been reconverted and modernized, adding new products of customary quality.
It was so totally different. I mean, we had one telephone and no hours in front of TV. There was no... my father didn't believe in having a radio even. And it wasn't until he died that my mother had one. We used to get round the piano and have the sing-songs and ordinary games that wouldn't even rate not a quarter of an hour in these.
What modern life, industrial life, has been doing over the last 200 years is increasing in speed. As it increases in speed, as we want information faster, we want to be served quicker at our McDonald's and our supermarkets. We want people around us to do their job more speedily.
Well, what are they busy about? Making money. That's the general thing, that you've got to make a success by having a nice pile in the bank. And we all are inclined to think of old people as of not much value. I mean, in terms of making money, for instance.
So I can see how women have a lot of pressure put on them, not just monetary-wise. I understand that a lot of women don't have a choice. They just have to go to work because the cost of living is just so high. It's not just enough to be a mother. They need to go out and fulfil themselves and have a career, and in some ways it's put a lot of pressure on us to achieve everything. Quite frankly, you have to wonder where the energy goes and how long you can keep all of that up.
You'd want some kind of extended family, like they they have in many other countries and cultures.
Because your grandparents and aunts and uncles.
Yeah. And you know, it depends on the culture, but this culture we're living in at the moment, you know, it's not so much, there's not so much of that, is there?
Once you've completely isolated a person and completely reduced them back to zero, you can then fill up their minds, so the theory went, with new information, new ideologies. So marasmus, brainwashing, are rooted in warfare, conflict, humans attempting to degrade and dehumanize their fellow human being.
I really enjoyed watching my babies as they discovered life. It was so exciting for them, you know, reaching out and touching and looking and getting excited about new noises. And I think as a parent looking on to a little one discovering the world, it's like you discover it all over again with them. And then to have them turn around in a few years and say to you, "Mum, I'm bored," you have to wonder where you went wrong. And I'm finding the older they get, the harder it is. The more they're saying they're bored. And it's like if they don't have something to entertain them, they can't figure it out themselves. A lot of this technology tends to pull them away and keep them on their own. It's hard to keep your kids grounded into what is real because so much of what they are bombarded with, isn't it?
The world was very slow. We lived in a small country, not even a town. And my father had taken up land in this valley. And he was a very hard worker. But he always found time to have a play with us, and we loved that. And I know personally wouldn't go to sleep unless he came and held my hand and told me a story.
One of the worst aspects of modern life and its increasing demands on us and the way we are being punished if we don't perform more quickly, more efficiently, and so forth, is being felt by young families. They're constantly being undermined, being interrupted as a family.
You can see the cracks everywhere of that sort of thinking. If by working that hard that your family misses out in the process, and by the time you get to retirement you've used up your life force and you don't have any energy left for your children's children and the people around you.
It's amazing. When you first go to a place, you have lots of people coming to see you. After about a month or 3 weeks, you only have occasional people. They've visited you and they've cheered you up or whatever. Their duty's done for the time being. And it does get a bit lonely.
as this pace has quickened, the effect on people has been quite insidious. That is, we've become dehumanised without recognising it in many ways. And the dehumanisation which is occurring can be likened to a form of marasmus. We are literally speeding ourselves to death, cleaning out what it means to be human. And we're becoming, if we're not careful, a society, a world of global isolates. Every one of us working in our own increasingly individual, increasingly rapid world where what matters is speed for the sake of it. You could call it as a kind of spiritual marasmus or a condition created by increasing dehumanization of the human spirit. It's not till you pull yourself away from the hustle and bustle of contemporary life that you begin to see with clarity the reality that you are in the midst of. That's why historically all the great mystics of history have gone into the deserts or up to the tops of mountains or into the jungles, out on voyages on the ocean to contemplate, reflect on what it means to be human. And this kind of self-stripping of the masks and the incrustations of damage that's been done by racing, can only be done by the individual themselves. So this is an isolation which is the opposite of marasmus, because marasmus is an enforced, violent isolation of people doing damage. But this kind of isolation is where, ironically, all of us have to go back to at some point, and should go back to more often, to find what's real or what's beating, to hear the pulse of the earth and the sea and the sky.
You still need your own, space.
A measure of independence is absolutely essential, and in anything in today's society.
I think sometimes it's all too easy to become very selfish in that mode and only look at, what's important to you.
I mean, it's useless to advise people because they know perfectly well if they're indulging themselves that there is a cost to pay.
Life is eternal. Time is eternal. Watch the time. Time's moving on. Watch the time.
Everything is pushed at us as though we are the most important object in the universe. How much me is sufficient before it becomes self-absorption, narcissism, self-worship. And if only I can be happy looking into myself and satisfying myself, I can make somebody else happy. It's quite interesting that that isn't the route that most of the mystics down through the ages have said, and much of the social scientific research has backed up. What they've said is that you find fulfillment, happiness for yourself when you help somebody else achieve their needs.
Think of the amount of money that we had as we grew up. It was practically nothing. And yet we had plenty.
I think the very message that I'm really trying to get across to my kids is that people are far more important than anything else. But if I can teach them that in a material world to look beyond that and find meaning in themselves for who they really are, and to see other people for who they really are, then I will have achieved something.
It's a new generation.
They've actually been busy trying to come up with a artificial womb. Here you have the scenario now where, you know, a couple can plan for children, have the children, and all done outside and
major breakthrough!
I know several people who would be very pleased with that.
Well, this is great, you know, I can continue to work, I can email as much as I want to.
I saw a thing. I don't know if it was a spoof thing, but it definitely wasn't presented as a spoof thing. I saw it on TV about people having sex over the internet. They had this kind of suit with electrodes in the right places, and you know, a designed sex suit, and you put it on and put all your bits in all your bits, okay, and then there's mild electrodes, and away you go, and you just, you know, you have a picture of your girlfriend on the other side of the world, and you press that, ooh, tingly.
Well, more and more technology seems to be expanding, you know, to create this convenience.
Yeah.
At the same time, creating this impersonal world, you know, or the virtue world, as you're saying with the virtual reality. Say, we don't need to touch anymore.
Modern society can sometimes leave us feeling that it's just inevitable. Things just have to be this way. And boy, the best thing I can do is just slot in and do my little bit and hope I have a decent life and nobody sues me and my kids grow up without being addicted to drugs and I can die in peace. But life shouldn't be a series of fears that we feel we have to hold back and negotiate, but something wonderful that we can explore and create and make wonderful, because we have this freedom to make a noise about it and to build up again rather than to be constantly worrying and adding up figures. And how am I going to get over that?
What are you earning? How are you spending your money? you must make money.
Sometimes I feel like I'm just losing the battle. That everything out there is so much bigger and more powerful than what I can have to offer my kids. I think if I gave up, that would send the message to them that all the other messages in their life that they're getting is what they have to live by. So I can't give up.
Society without friendship is a society of robots, of mechanical producers. What we look for in people now, it seems, is how can they be useful to me? And when we should be focusing on people for what we are, that is human beings who need constant nurturing all through our lives. Never a point at which we can take each other for granted. Friendship is the basis of a society that will make it human and keep it human.